Morning, folks. It's a really pretty day here on the. Dogs are out there chasing cows. I have to call them back in a second. I just wanted to come here because I'm talking a lot this week about finding your reader. So I just did a little thing here on Facebook about that, and I'm going to do a big blog post about it on Wednesday. But I thought I would just spend a minute talking about how I find my readers. And I am not a marketing expert. There are people, Brian Clark, Amy Porterfield, Kirsten Oliphant, Gabrielle. So here I am again. So there are folks that are much more informed about doing marketing for writers than I am. And so those folks, Amy Porterfield, Gabrielle Pereira of DIY MFA, Kirsten Oliphant of Create If Writing, Brian Clark of Unemployable. If you really want good tips on that stuff, I would definitely check them out. But here's what I've decided. I want to connect with people who I can help, who find what I do useful and meaningful to them. People who do things like I do. And I want to make genuine connections with folks. So if people read my books and love them, then I want to hear about that, and I want them to want to read more because I want them to get joy out of them, not because I want to sell books, although I'm not ever opposed to selling books, of course. For my mailing list, I want to have people who. Here I am again, moving closer to my Wi-Fi. So I want people who I genuinely connect with. I'm not interested in building numbers, even though, numbers might help me in some ways. I'm not really interested in just, racking up book sales for the sake of that, although, of course, the income is helpful. What I really want is to make genuine connections. And so here are 3 things that I do to make those genuine connections. I try to stay engaged. So I'm in Facebook groups. I'm in a lot of them. There are some I don't participate in very much, but there are a few that I try to be really active in. I try to answer questions if I can. I try to ask questions and be kind about the responses I receive. I share things that might be useful. So that's one thing I do. I just try to be connected to people, and then people know who I am, and maybe they decide somehow to connect with me in another way. So that's one thing I do. The other thing I do is I've started a couple of Facebook groups, and Ed Cyzeski at edcyzeski.com suggested this to me. Groups about what I am interested in. So I run an online writing community, which every writer is welcome to join. I also run a Facebook group for historians and genealogists, since those are the subjects about which I write a lot. And then I have a couple other pages and stuff that I do, but I use those communities as a way to be helpful, to share information with people, and to connect in a more deep way. Those 2 groups have gotten kind of big, we're a couple hundred people by now, but there's still places where people can more directly connect with one another. And then the third thing that I do is I try to be really engaged when people write to me. So if someone emails and reply to something I posted on my Facebook page, if they comment there, if they comment on my blog, if they send me a personal email, I reply to everything. And I try to do it as genuinely as I can. Sometimes I can't, be as thoughtful or thorough as I might be, but I try to be very connected and engaged when I do that. Because I believe all these things are about building community and building connection. So those are the things that I'm doing right now, and some of the things I do to build an audience. I would love to hear you guys' tips, things you've done to help you build an audience that is meaningful and, real for you. Have a great day, guys. I'm going to go get the cows out of the pasture. I'm not bringing the cows in. The dogs out of the pasture. Have a good day.